The PowerSeries systems include the 1616, the 1832, and the 1864. Now, before we begin, I just want to let you know that these models are all very similar, but will accept a different number of user codes, partitions, programmable outputs, and most importantly, zones. When choosing an alarm system, you need to know how many zones you plan on having. Zones can easily be determined by knowing how things are wired and by knowing the number of wireless devices you plan on having on the system. If you're using anything wireless, each wireless device is considered a zone. And then you have your hardwired zones. If you have a wire running from each of your hardwired devices back to the main control panel, that is a zone. Some individuals may wire 5 windows in series and have only one wire going back to the control panel. That would only be considered one zone. So it is important to know how your hardwired zones are wired to help determine which system to get. As we go through each one of these models, keep in mind that you can turn any one of these hardwired systems into a hybrid system, and then you would have the ability to accept wireless devices. To do so, you would need to add a wireless receiver to the panel or a keypad that has a receiver built in. The keypads with a wireless receiver built in usually have a part number that begin with an RFK. If you need additional keypads, be sure to choose a keypad that begins with a PK. You only want one RFK keypad on a system. So let's begin with the 1616. The 1616 is an entry-level alarm control that is ideal for very small installations. Right out of the box, the 1616 can do 6 hardwired zones and be expanded up to a total of 16 hardwired or wireless zones. The 1616 supports up to 8 keypads, 48 user codes, 2 programmable outputs, and if you are into partitioning, it has 2 partitions. The outputs can be programmed to reset smoke detectors or be programmed for a different number of things. If you are using less than 16 zones and you are interested in a small security system with the ability to have hardwired or wireless devices, then take a look at our DSC PowerSeries 1616. If you would like a kit with the 1616, we have a kit 16120. This kit is the 1616 system that has a fixed keypad with a wireless receiver built in and other components to get you started. Next on our list is the PowerSeries 1832. The 1832 is much like the 1616, but is more of a popular system and seems to be a system most people like. Right out of the box, the 1832 panel can do 8 hardwired zones and is expandable up to 32 hardwired or wireless zones with the use of expansion modules. The 1832 supports up to 8 keypads, 72 user codes, 4 partitions, and also has 2 programmable outputs. If you are using less than 32 zones and you are interested in a reliable but dependable security system, take a look at our DSC 1832 kits. The 1832 kits include the same control panel, just offer a different variety of components or a keypad. Now let's look at the DSC PowerSeries 1864. The 1864 is much like the 1616 and 1832, but is more for those that require up to 64 zones. Out of the box, the 1864 control panel can do 8 hardwired zones and be expanded with zone expansion modules to a total of 64 hardwired zones. Depending on the wireless receiver or keypad being used, the 1864 control panel can also be expandable up to 64 wireless zones. No matter if you're going hardwired or wireless, you can only have a total of 64 zones with this system. The 1864 supports up to 8 keypads, 95 user codes, 8 partitions, and this one has 4 programmable outputs. This is a great system for those large installations. So in summary, the 1616 can do up to 16 zones and is ready for 6 zones out of the box. The 1832 is the more popular system and can do 8 hardwired zones out of the box and can be expanded up to 32 zones. And the DSC 1864 has 8 hardwired zones out of the box and can be expanded up to 64 zones. Also remember, when adding wireless receivers to the system, you only want one receiver or one RF keypad on the system.